Hello everyone, welcome to, I would dare say, a long-awaited episode of Watchtower Examination. As I indicated in the previous video, I have started a home business and it has gotten me quite busy, excitedly busy. Someone said that I cheapen the channel by talking about my business. And I find it a little odd. If I speak about my health, that's fine. If I say I got a job, I imagine people would say, congratulations on your job, Winston. If I said I have enrolled into university, I am pretty sure people would be congratulating me and wishing me all the best. If I said that my mother died, I would have gotten, and that has not happened, thank God, I would have heard so many persons saying, oh, I am really sorry. If I mention that I want to see my daughter, persons will say that is wonderful. But if I say I started a business and I'm encouraging you to look at it like, oh my father, oh my. What is it that is so repulsive about someone starting a business and asking persons to support him? I don't know. Anyhow, I have created a video that I'm going to ask you to look on because I don't want to spend this time doing a long preamble about that, because we want to be talking about the Watchtower and this court judgment against them. But before I get to that, a little bit more on the preamble. Apart from being busy on the business, I've also had a dream come true that I will be discussing in the next video. For years, I have been longing to speak with a Jehovah's Witness, especially a Jehovah's Witness elder, about the subject of the faithful and discreet slave. That dream became a reality, and I can't wait to tell you about that experience. But first, we must talk about this court order against the Watchtower. But again, before I get there, you would have observed that I have been posting some short video clips over the past few hours. There is a reason for that, and I'm sure that people would have been wondering. You're going to be seeing much more of them. You're going to be seeing like about 6 or 7 clips posted on a daily basis, and this is why I'm doing it. I had a discussion. I've been having an email exchange with a Jehovah's Witness who calls himself Watchtower Defense, who thought that he can come to the defense of the Watchtower on the matter of their refusal to join the redress scheme. And one thing led to another. Among the things that happened, he pointed me to a Jehovah's Witness blog where someone believes that they can defend the Watchtower organization against the many true things that are being said about them. And so in my email correspondence with this gentleman and in my wanting to respond to some of the comments on that blog, it dawned on me that I had this desire to send them, to just show them some simple clips. But I could not think about which video I commented on it on. And so I felt that the best thing to do would be to just post the clips so I can just send them to people when I'm speaking with them. So many clips I wish I could have just sent to Watchtower Defense. And I'm also doing it for you because persons have asked several times, where can I find this clip of Jeffrey Jackson speaking about the barking dog? Where can I find a clip about, things like those? So as of now, and I'm actually creating a playlist, link in the description and in the card, for you to watch these amazing quotations from these people. So it's a lot that I have to post. So you'll be seeing multiple being posted on a daily basis until it simmers down. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about this court order against the Watchtower, allow me to go through the article. From the Brussels Times, Jehovah's Witnesses given €12,000 fine for incitement to hatred against ex-members. The reason you do not see me breaking out in a happy dance right now is because I've already done it a few days ago. That is just absolutely wonderful news. The Jehovah's Witnesses in Belgium must pay €12,000 fine for the systematic and disturbing exclusion of ex-members who have left the organization, the Ghent or Ghent Correctional Court ruled on Tuesday. The court ruled that the non-profit association behind the Jehovah's Witnesses is guilty of inciting discrimination and hatred or violence against former members, reports the Belga news agency. Now, I'm going to do the unusual. I'm going to come to the Watchtower's defense. I thought it was rather unfortunate that they should include violence in the charge. If there's one thing you could never accuse the Watchtower of, is inciting violence. In fairness to the organization, this is one organization that has never pushed violence. This is an organization that is anti-violence. That is why they do not go to war. So I really wish that they never mentioned that. If I imagine that I went into a supermarket and, picked up a few items and hid it in my pocket and tried to come out of the supermarket with it. I'm arrested, I'm taken to court, I know that I am guilty, and I'm getting ready to plead guilty. But then I go to court to hear, Mr. Gilling, you are charged with shoplifting, 2 counts of grievous bodily harm, and breaking and entry. I'd be, pardon me? What? No, indict me on the shoplifting, but please do not accuse me of harming anyone. I never touched a soul, and I did not break into the place I walked in. So, and this is a court. This is where justice is going to be served. Be just, be fair. Do not even associate the word violence with the Watchtower. That said, they are as guilty as sin on the other charges. The article continues. The Jehovah's Witnesses shunning policy cuts on the very core of relationships, and the victims suffer both physical and psychological consequences, one of the lawyers of the civil parties said during the trial last month. An answered prayer, a dream come true. I was wondering when the authorities are going to recognize the harm that this organization is doing to society. Because the family is really the core of society. And when you have a religious organization or any organization, whatever, that whose policies result in families being destroyed, it's about time that the authorities, it's about time that the judicial system in countries take this up. And I'm hoping that what is happening in Belgium is just the start, because nothing would make me happier than for this to happen in the United States, in Canada, in UK, as a start. Because these countries are looked up to and set the stage for the rest of the world, as it were. I can't wait to hear that US courts are beginning to do this, to stem the harm that this organization is doing to people. And when the article mentioned physical, I thought to myself, physical, yes, physical. The worst physical thing that is happening to ex-Jehovah's Witnesses is when they take their own lives on account of the evil of this practice by the Watchtower organization. I've been talking about it ad nauseum. I find the thing so absolutely aggravating to be coming from an organization that calls itself Christian. Everything about the shunning policy is against Christ. In 2015, an ex-member took the organization to the Ghent Public Prosecutor's Office for slander and defamation, insults and violation of the discrimination law. Man, I wish there was such a law in the United States. Is there? He claimed that once the members had left the group, they were disowned and completely isolated socially by order of the organization. The Ghent Public Prosecutor's Office summoned the Jehovah's Witnesses for 4 charges: incitement to discrimination on the basis of religious belief against a person and against a group, as well as incitement to hatred or violence against a person and against a group. First I was fair to the Watchtower. Now I will be fair to the prosecution. They did not say incitement to hatred and violence, but or violence. So that puts a different perspective to it. I never observed it so much the first time, but to avoid doing a long video and going over and editing, let me just go back on that to say that yes, or. So you're guilty of one or the other, and they certainly are guilty of the one. Belgium's Interfederal Equal Opportunities Centre, UNIA, and some 15 individuals had taken up civil action with the victims' lawyers emphasizing the far-reaching consequences of the shunning policy, reports De Morgan. Jehovah's Witnesses state that ex-members should be shunned like the plague, said lawyer Peter Bram Laguet, hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, who assists the ex-witnesses who started the case. He used to sit on Jehovah's Judicial Committee and help decide on exclusions until he realized it was going too far. Laguet said, "We act, for example, for a man whose wife is still a member and is ignored in his home, or a woman who has never seen her father since the inclusion." And this, for me, is the best part. This is just the start. Former Jehovah's Witness member Patrick Hayek told, don't ask me to pronounce that, "We are going to the European court. This has to stop everywhere." Let me read that again. We are going to the European court. This has to stop everywhere. This has to go to the European court. This has to stop everywhere is a beautiful way for that article to have ended. This has to stop everywhere. Now, some persons comment on how small the fine is. I am not the least bit concerned. And I think I watched on another channel that the Jehovah's Witnesses, so it might have been another article that was read, that they intend to appeal. And oh my, do I wish they will appeal. Because there's something beautiful about decisions taken at the Supreme Court level, decisions taken at the highest court. Have you ever heard the word precedent? When the highest court makes a decision, it becomes the law, as it were. That's the precedent, that's the standard that has been set. And so please, Jehovah's Witnesses, please appeal it, because the organization does not have a foot to stand on, because the evidence against them is glaring. Because I never read this in the article, I don't know if it came up in court, but here is the smoking gun from the Watchtower organization. Some apostates profess to know and serve God, but they reject teachings or requirements set out in His Word. Others claim to believe the Bible, but they reject Jehovah's organization. They reject the Watchtower and actively try to hinder its work, they claim. When they deliberately choose such badness, it is badness to reject the Watchtower organization and, according to them, hinder its work. So when I speak against what the Watchtower is doing, I am doing badness. When ex-Jehovah's Witnesses speak against the shunning policy, they are doing badness. They are seen as trying to hinder the Watchtower's work. When they deliberately choose such badness after knowing what is right, when the bad becomes so ingrained that it is an inseparable part of their makeup, then a Christian must hate. Listen again. Then a Christian must hate, in the biblical sense of the word, those who have inseparably attached themselves to the badness. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. True Christians share Jehovah's feelings toward such apostates. They are not curious about apostate ideas. On the contrary, they feel a loathing toward those who have made themselves God's enemies. It is an awful label to place on someone, to call someone an enemy of God. I am therefore seen by Jehovah's Witnesses as an enemy of God to criticize the Watchtower. If I say Stephen Lett is wrong, I become an enemy of God. If a Jehovah's Witness says, I do not believe that the governing body is a faithful and discreet slave, they become an enemy of God. If a Jehovah's Witness dare to say, I believe that every Christian has a heavenly hope, they become an enemy of God. If a Jehovah's Witness says, I believe nothing is wrong with voting, they become an enemy of God. If a Jehovah's Witness joins the police force, he becomes an enemy of God. If a Jehovah's Witness leaves the organization because they feel that this is not the truth, it cannot be the truth. When the truth keeps changing, they become an enemy of God. That is what the Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to look on ex-Jehovah's Witnesses as. And I've heard someone trying to pacify the situation by talking about hate in the biblical sense of the word. That doesn't cut it. Because in a minute I'm going to be showing you the biblical sense of the word that the Watchtower is talking about. But before we go there, the smoking gun is right there. They are told that they should hate these people and that they should have a loathing toward them, giving the impression that that is how Jehovah himself feels about them. Jehovah hates them because they are Jehovah's enemies. And then they would turn to the psalmist David and use some very strong words that David used against God's enemies. And David was talking about people who were attacking Israel and hated God. This is David. No, let me give you the Watchtower, quoting David. Regarding them, the psalmist said, "Do I not hate those who are intensely hating you, O Jehovah? And do I not feel a loathing for those revolting against you? With a complete hatred do I hate them. They have become to me real enemies." That is what the Watchtower is inciting Jehovah's Witnesses to look on ex-Jehovah's Witnesses as their enemies, to be hated, to be loathed, because they are enemies of Jehovah. That is the doctrine of the Watchtower organization, and that is the reason I am so hoping, Watchtower, that you appeal this ruling. Take it to the highest court of the land so that the precedent can be set, because this is just the beginning. And so it matters not to me how small the fine is. Now, every Jehovah's Witness who is being shunned in Belgium now has the opportunity to take this organization to court. And do you know what the saddest thing about it is? Jehovah's Witnesses, some of them, will not see just how evil it is. They are going to claim that they are being persecuted for righteousness' sake. Jehovah, the Lord did speak about giving some people over to their reprobate minds. It's sad. It is so sad. And in the next video, I'm going to be discussing that very sad mentality of Jehovah's Witnesses. Sharing with you my conversation with a Jehovah's Witness elder before moving on to my conversation with Watchtower Defense. There is so much to be said. But again, as I close, do look out for these short clips that will be posted quite frequently. Understand that they're being posted as resources for myself when I'm speaking with Jehovah's Witnesses, but much bigger than that, resources for you when you want to find these clips. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful day.
May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all.